Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the September 95 horror film Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, originally called The Return of the Texas Oh my god, I can't talk. Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or Return to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it was changed then. Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. So Matthew McConaughey and Rachel. I can't talk today. Renee Zellweger are the main actors in this. So it's the next gen of actors, right? They're the hot new talent in mid 90s, and so they get to act together in this abomination of a horror film. So the title card narration of the bit, as the Texas Chainsaw Massacres do, we go back to the beginning, August 18th, 1973, and we talk about Sally, and it always comes back to Sally, August 18th, 73, right? And then we get, time jumps, and we get time jumps. Now we're May something of 96, May 22nd, 96. I'm all for time. I'm all for telling me specific dates of when things are happening, right? Totally fine. I'm like, okay, we got a date. Makes no sense how the beginning of this movie says, oh, no one was apprehended, when the beginning of the third film says there was a trial. And I was like, you can't have one without the other. So I've learned that these films, these Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, are just like watching the Leprechaun films. We did our Leprechaun marathon back in March. It was 8 films. They have nothing to do with each other. Except, I think maybe one had to do with each other. Maybe 2 of them. Like, something was a sequel of something, and then the last film was the sequel to the first film. Something like that, right? Everything else has nothing to do with each other. The general concept of that there's a leprechaun and things happen. Very much show how these films are. There's a leather-faced character and things happen. Because the family is always different, and the Leatherface is always different. This Leatherface was just so dumb. It was just constant screaming and wailing and sobbing during just general scenes, but then like screaming and wailing and sobbing while holding the chainsaw. And I was like, this is not like scary. This is like uncomfortable. Like, it's a weird type of sound coming out of his mouth, and it's just not scary. It's just, I guess, disturbing is the best word for it. Why are you moaning while holding a chainsaw? I don't get it. It's a weird, compared to the character we've had in the last 3 films. Like, those were scary characters. First is obviously iconic. Second was really good. Third was okay. It wasn't magical. But then this one is just, what the hell kind of character is this? The other problem I have with this is that you have this Wilmer character, played by Matthew McConaughey, who is the main villain honcho in charge of this family, who happens to then be accompanied by Leatherface, who is not doing most of the killing and dismemberment and things. He's just off in the corner, putting nail polish on and checking his makeup and stuff. Like, I don't get it. If this is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, why is the Leatherface character not the main villain of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film? I don't get it. Renee plays this high school senior. She's off with friends, at prom. They leave prom in Texas, so in this general vicinity of this cuckoo bananas family. They're in an accident, they go seek help, and then all hell breaks loose, as the story normally progresses. So the same general principle happens. She jumps out of a window, just like the first film where Sally jumps out of a window. Same basic principles happen. So is this a reboot, but it's a sequel, but it's not a reboot? I don't know. I don't know what genre this is. I don't know what type of storytelling this is. If you take it away from the Texas Chainsaw franchise and just look at it as a singular hour and 25-minute long thing, it had its moments, as most films do. They have their individual moments, but a lot of this felt like an indie film, like a high school freshman in college indie film that the kid had to make for their final grade. That's what this felt like. This did not feel like a big Hollywood budgeted film, and I know this did not well in theaters at all. But it's just very strange how this was approved as a sequel, fourth installment of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. But again, if you're comparing it in regards to franchise, this is very reminiscent of how the Leprechaun franchise is, where there's not many connections between films, and it's unfortunate because you have a franchise, put the connections. I don't get it. I don't get it. I thought it was gross. Like, why is Matthew McConaughey's character like eating seeds and spitting it at Renee Zellweger? Like, what is the point of that? It was just dumb. It was dumb. I feel terrible for the actors because it's not their fault. It's the writer's fault. Who approved of this? Stupid. Also, why did the name change? I don't get it. It was called Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and now it's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation. So, I don't know. This is the end of the first, because there's like a few different multiverses apparently within this franchise, which I did write down and I have to revisit my chart. I think the next one is the 2003 actual remake Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then I think the one after that in 07, 06, 07 is the beginning film, which is the sequel, prequel to that or something like that. I got a list. We got to go through the list. I remember seeing the 03 version because I was in middle school when that came out. I remember seeing that a lot, and I remember that's the one I saw the most of. So it's all going to come back to me. It's going to start to flow back in regards to watching it. But why was this made? What was the purpose? Dumb. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Next Generation. On to the next review. Mahalo.